By the way, we have some very good polls coming out today, I just heard. Despite all of the fake publicity about this radical left person from San Francisco. How's San Francisco doing? Not like North Carolina. No, we have some very good polls coming out, so that's good. You know, considering the fact that what they do, what the fake news is able to do, and yet we're leading.
Bro, there's like 2 pollsters that show him doing well. Is Rasmussen and Trafalgar. Like, even Trafalgar doesn't show him doing well in key states. I don't know what the he's talking about.
They took it away from him.
Something that I didn't see, or his internal polls actually show something different.
Terrible.
He's cooked.
She went from being a disrespected person 6 weeks ago. She was totally disrespected. The most unpopular vice president in the history of our country. And then they decided to get politically correct. We have to put her in. They put her in, and now they're putting her on the covers of Time magazine with an artist sketch. They don't use a picture. They don't use a picture. They use an artist sketch. I want to use that artist. I want to find that artist. I like him very much. But we're going to beat her also, and they may then get a third candidate. Who knows? This is a little bit different than we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to have a candidate. You know, we spent probably $100 million on beating him. Then we had a very good debate, and we beat him. And they said, well, instead of letting it go, who knows what happens, right? It's the world of politics. They say, we want him out. Joe, you're getting out now, Joe. Well, I don't want to get out. I have 14. You're getting out now, Joe. We can do it the nice way, or we can do it the hard way. And he's getting out. He's getting out. In fact, they're not even giving him a good spot to speak. You know, when he's speaking on Monday, Monday's not that's the worst day. But that's what they do, and it's their own form of, it's just another, I guess relatively, it's a minor form of cheating by comparison to what they really do, right? Everything Kamala Harris touches.
Dude, this is poison. This is literally poison for the election. Consistently fucking crying about Biden. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Oh, they really f***ed him up. They really f***ed him up big time. It's like, bro, you were running against him. And now you're running against someone else. You're just whining that, like, you have a stronger ticket to go against now.
We are going to save America.
Like, I don't think this works. Like, I think this is really fucking whiny.
To do a speech on the economy. A lot of people are very devastated by what's happened with inflation and all of the other things. So we're doing this as a intellectual speech. You're all intellectuals today. Today we're doing it, and we're doing it right now. And it's very important. They say it's the most important subject. I think crime
his fan base is whiny. His fan base is already voting for him, chat. Come on, you've met MAGA guys, okay? You've met Trump supporters. You know what they're like, okay? He could go up there and literally be like, I think every single one of you are disgusting little worms and I hate you. And they would be like, hell yeah, Mr. President, you're right. You say it like it is. I'm a worm for you. It doesn't matter. He's not going after his base. His base is super hardened already. He's going after new voters or people that are in the margins, people outside of his immediate base of support.
You don't hear about the American dream anymore. It's dead. Her radical liberal policies have caused horrific inflation, decimated the middle class, and gutted the finances of millions and millions of American families. Real incomes are down by over $2,000 a year per family. I mean, that's a lot of money. They're down by that, and it's actually much more if you figure it a certain way. If you add some other categories in, it's much more than that.
Do I agree
in July alone, 350,000 people were added to the unemployment rolls. Kamala.
I'm not going to lie. You can thank Brandon for that, okay? Both by being like an old white guy, but also being like an old school politician who doesn't f with that in general. But like that is one of the 2 key things that the Kamala Harris campaign thus far has picked up from the Brandon camp, Brandon re-election, that is objectively good, is dropping like convoluted intersectionality arguments about like just like academic speak. And yeah, the somewhat related, Harris has thus far wisely avoided all the identity politics excesses of Clinton 2016. No charts about intersectionality, obsessing over black women voters, etc. Waltz is particularly good at speaking without DEI consultant vibes or lingo. Now remember, there were moments where Biden did that when he talked about black voters in a way where he was like, and those were massive flubs, but in a way where he was basically like, if you don't vote for me, you literally aren't black. Like those were really, really bad moments. But beyond that, he never did like the intersectionality shit, right? He wasn't with the woke stuff because he's fucking old as dirt. That is good. That's not a bad thing. Like talk about the actual issues that matter. Don't just like leave it as a standalone to be like, we love diversity. Talk about how Republicans are using diversity as a way to like undermine black and brown people. Kamala is running a strangely Trumpy campaign while Trump is running a strangely Hillary-ish campaign. It's not just surface level stuff like this. I agree. That's why I said this is a 2016 reversal. Look how many people showed up to a J.D. Vance speech today. Yeah, I mean, he's Rizla's brother. He's so bad. Deborah is dying in the corner.
And now the bombs are starting to drop in the Middle East. You see what's going on there, right? That would have never happened. Israel would have never happened. Ukraine would have never happened with Russia. You wouldn't have ever had an embarrassment like.
You say Israel would never happen, like it would not have existed if it were.
Inflation would have never happened. We would have never had it. It was caused by a very stupid energy policy. Then he went back to my policy because prices were going up so much. But it'll end, if they won this election, on day one, all of that would end, and this country will go through hell. And it can never come back. Once it goes, it's pretty far down already. I'm going to have to work very hard. It's pretty far down. When you let 20 million people come into our country from places unknown, from prisons and from mental institutions and terrorists. Kamala Harris won't end the economic crisis. She will only.
Good thing Trump's way of addressing the inflation crisis is by doing more tax cuts, which he already did at a time when corporate profits were record high. That certainly is not an inflationary fiscal policy. And also, obviously, even from like pro-capitalist economists will consistently claim about like flooding the market with more money, causing inflation. And it's like he did that shit too. And he wants to further cut rates now too, which is like, I mean, he's just wrong on every front, dude.
But she'll never do them. She'll never do them. She'll say them for the election, but she'll never do them.
Hasan is
she
so
can't
clearly
solve
biased,
the problem
rarely ever
because she
criticize
is the
Harris.
problem. She really
You're
is.
wrong.
People like her.
Also, I am biased. I'm also biased against Kamala Harris too.
When I left office, I handed Kamala and crooked Joe Biden a surging economy with no inflation.
Chatter, everyone is biased. The difference is I'm honest and I tell you what my biases are, okay?
The Hispanic American poverty rate was down 8%. The biggest drops, the greatest drops that you've ever seen in this country. They've never had it so well. Nobody has. Every group. Men, women, Hispanics, Asians, blacks, everybody was down.
One thing that is really funny about Trump's economic policies is that he wants to do like insane tariffs, like both on China and just like tariffs across the board, which will actually increase costs. He wants to also simultaneously cut rates and have control over cutting rates as the president, which again will play a role in inflation going up. Like he wants to tackle this issue from every end. Like he wants to make it so that if he gets a second term, that there will be a lot of growth in the short term, not with the tariffs, but with the interest rates. Whoever comes after is going to be sitting on complete economic collapse.
Liberal playbook, what they've done to
which is, again, not all that different from average Republicans, mind you.
Harris
that is how the Republicans operate.
War in American energy, threw open our borders, flooded the country with low-wage migrant workers, passed the Green New scam, racked up almost $10 trillion in debt, and buried our workers in job-killing regulations, costing $10,000 per family. That's a lot of money. You don't have to imagine what a Harris presidency would look like. You're living through the misery right now, except it will get worse, and you're paying the price, a price like nobody's ever paid.
One of the worst aspects of this for Trump is that like the economic recovery has already happened, like inflation has already softened.
We were respected by everybody in the world.
That goes back to the same equation of like the Joe Biden did that stickers all over the gas pumps. Like when the prices actually normalize again, that becomes a way to like actually positively campaign for the current administration. Like this is a major issue for him. The further you move away from negative real wage growth that people did experience, that was a very real thing, the more people forget that they had negative real wage growth and don't attribute that to the administration as a negative at all. There are absolutely areas that need deflation. I'll give you an example. This is like a very unpopular thing to say. Housing. Desperately in need of deflation. Housing prices is completely fucking out of control. College prices, the rental market. These are areas of the American economy. Pharmaceutical prices, healthcare costs. These are areas that absolutely need deflation. Why is that unpopular to say? It's technically popular to say, but it's unpopular amongst voters. Why is it unpopular amongst voters? Because a lot of the fucking voters happen to be people that already own homes, people that may even own their second home, people that are renting out their homes. A lot of Americans still are homeowners. I would say that homeowners are more represented in the voting population than non-homeowners are.
On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency to use every tool and authority at their disposal to defeat inflation and to bring consumer prices rapidly down. We'll do it very rapidly. I don't order bacon anymore. It's too expensive.
Man, shut up.
It will be a
We know you're
whole
rich as fuck,
of government
bro.
effort to raise the standard of
fuck outta
living and
here.
make
Oh, I don't order
American life
bacon.
affordable.
Notice how when other politicians say shit like this, everybody makes fun of them and they're like, bro, shut the fuck up. You're out of touch. You're just fucking saying that. But when Trump says it, oh God, he definitely does. He definitely goes to the grocery store and fucking orders bacon.
50, 60, 70% in so many items. You look at car insurance. I couldn't believe when I looked at those numbers this morning. I was studying numbers and I looked at the car insurance numbers. It's incredible. And that's just one of many. You can go through many. But the groceries, just to put it in simple terms.
I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the worst times.
Less than half a.
This is one of the perhaps worst, if not the worst time to bring up inflation, because the new numbers that just came out literally show that in like the used car market, for example, in the rental market, in the car market, there's deflation. In the used car market, there's deflation by 11 points. Not inflation, deflation.
Our country.
That's a good
is
line, though.
Destroying our families. We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues. We have the worst supply chain we've ever had in the history of the country.
Is he gonna
price
fucking
of
institute
prescription
price controls?
drugs.
What is he saying?
I will instruct my cabinet that I expect results within the first 100 days or much sooner than that. I would say the first 7 days is fine. Car insurance is up 70 to 100%, and you can't get it. You can't even get it. Insurance is up 50% or higher. The whole industry is out of control. The insurance industry has never been anything we have never been in a situation with insurance like it is right now. You can't get it, no matter what you pay. But prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast, not only with insurance, with everything. At the center of our effort to bring the cost of living under control will be the all-out push to end the Biden-Harris war on a thing called American energy. American energy. We will drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring energy prices down. But worldwide, I mean, we would have been selling oil and gas all over the world.
Does he know our country is in the environment, you think? No, that's too long-term thinking, okay? So you know this speech was supposed to be a new speech on the economy, and instead it devolved into name-calling Kamala on CNN. So CNN cut away from the speech to fact-check it and have a panel about how bad Trump is doing. Also, this past week, the USA hit the highest level for oil production and export ever in history for our nation. Yeah, that don't matter. Republicans don't operate on facts. They operate on fucking feelings. So he does not care about this. Like, he does not care about oil production in the country and like what stage it's at. It's complete vibes based.
She wants to ban fracking, and she's wanted it for her entire career.
Trump talks
and we're not going to let her destroy our country like
That's
that.
why
We're not going to let her.
So how does he square that hole? You know, how does he square that circle? Like inflation numbers are looking banger for the fucking Biden admin. No, you don't understand. It's still very high. It's still so high. It's like, okay.
By contrast, I'm announcing today that under my leadership, the United States will commit to the ambitious goal of slashing energy and electricity prices by half, at least half. Tax cuts additionally will make them permanent because, you know, we have a thing where they want to terminate at the end of the period when they expire, the Trump tax cuts.
He wants $1 billion from the oil and
That would
gas
mean your
industry.
taxes
That's why I
would
keep
go
saying
up
drill, baby,
4
drill.
times. You'll be paying 4 times much. They all said I was wrong when I said that migrant crime will reach epidemic proportions. And now it's much worse than that. It's a lot worse than epidemic proportions. It's beyond control. We have a new category of crime.
No,
It's
we
called
don't.
Migrant crime. If I win, you will have the largest deportation operation in American history, starting at noon on Inauguration Day, 2025. And, you know, I don't say that happily because it's not an easy situation. So many people, it's not sustainable. But the Kamala migrant invasion is also a major factor in crushing your wages and driving up the cost of health care and the cost of all of your goods. Millions of uninsured illegal aliens are getting billions and billions of dollars in free health care paid for by American citizens on your medical bills. It's right on your medical bills. When you hear this, you get angry because it shouldn't happen. But what happens to them, they come up in caravans. I think I came up with that name. It's horrible what happens in those caravans coming up. It's a rough journey. But they come up because we have very stupid people here that say, if you come up, we will give you health care, Social Security, medical, school. You know, our schools in a lot of places are not, you can't even go anymore. They've taken the place of our students. They have people sitting in chairs that don't speak a word of English, and they're taking the place of our young children. The hospitals, a person told me the other day from San Diego, they said they can't get into a hospital anymore. The hospitals are being occupied by illegal aliens. Somebody's got to take care. They're being occupied. And the reason they're coming is because people like Gavin Newsom and people like Kamala are saying, come, come, it's the American dream, come. They're destroying our country. We can't do it. We can't let it continue. You're not going to have a country anymore. People like Scott, brilliant Wall Street people, they're right about what they say.
Bro, this is
And that's also
like,
common
this is
sense, I'll tell you.
so,
It's
this
all
is so
about common
fucking
sense. The
Hitlerian. I don't know
Republican
what else to
Party is the
say.
party.
We already know that undocumented migrants are not responsible for a larger share of crimes than natural-born U.S. citizens, okay? Natural-born U.S. citizens do more crime per capita than undocumented migrants do. Undocumented migrants also are a much smaller percentage in comparison to natural-born U.S. citizens. So in totality, those numbers are like even more ridiculous. The per capita argument, the obvious argument to make in terms of like their contribution to the crime rate, the totality argument makes it even more insane. Donald Trump says undocumented migrants kill hundreds of thousands of Americans every year. The real number in the last fiscal year was 26, okay? 26. Undocumented migrants killed 26 people. Now, obviously, every death is still completely a fucking tragedy, completely unacceptable. But the idea that you tackle crime by shutting off immigration is insane. It's just born out of the hallucinations of the right. The idea that like these guys are actually responsible for crimes, hundreds of thousands, is an abject lie. And it blows my fucking mind that the Democratic Party does not push back on this narrative. He has gone above and beyond. No more dog whistles. If the Democrats do not nip this shit in the bud, if they do not counter message against this fucking narrative panic, we are headed down a very scary path. Very scary path. We're already there. The Republican Party is primed on this issue.